everyone. Welcome to Heat Press 101. I'm so happy to have you here to do an overview of a variety of heat transfers and to really talk about how you can get started with heat transfers and be able to successfully heat print custom apparel and accessories for your customers. Just real quick before we dive into the topic, as Josh mentioned at the kickoff for Heat Press for Profit virtual event, we are keeping this very, very interactive. So I want to hear from you guys. If you have questions, if you want to see something specific, please be sure to chat that in through the Pathable link. If you are joining us through the Zoom app, the chat within the app is disabled. So if you do have specific questions, just be sure to chat those in the chat section of the Pathable link where you are viewing this video. If you're already in Pathable, no worries, you are in the right place. For those of you that are just getting started with heat printing, this is going to be a great class. We're going to dive in deep on what to look for in a heat press, especially if you're here to do some research and educate yourself on what to look for in a heat press to make sure you're making the right buying decision. We'll also touch on this a lot more in depth in another section where we're talking about getting started. We'll dive really deep on different styles of heat presses. But for this specific session, I'm going to be using the A to Z heat press, which is a 15 by 15 heat press and has a swing away option. Why I love this heat press is because I am working out of a small room in my home and is the perfect size to just set on a table and be able to use for the purposes that I need it for. Now, there are a variety of different styles that you guys are going to see throughout the entire event that are a lot larger or same size that offer a lot of different features like a clam or an auto open feature or a swing and draw. So like I mentioned, we will get into specifics of those other heat presses in other sessions. But for this one, we're going to be talking about the A to Z specifically and how you can heat press with this specific machine. Now, when we talk about heat presses, the key thing to a heat press is ensuring that you can apply your transfers accurately. Today, we're going to be going through a variety of different heat transfers so that you can understand what all is available to you to be able to custom print for your customers, whether that be screen print transfers, basic heat transfer vinyl, or even special effects that customers love to see their logo done to build more brand awareness or just for a pop of color if it's for something more retail inspired. So we're going to be touching base on all of that. But one key thing for all of these heat transfers is that they all have their own recipe, which means that they are applying at different times, temperatures, and pressures. Why that is so important to your heat press is because we want to make sure that your heat press is reading out all of those instructions to you so that you know that you are applying those transfers accurately. So with the A to Z machine, I'm going to move my cover sheet to the side. You can see my plot in here. It's 15 by 15 dimension. So whenever I am thinking about what I'm going to be heat applying, the first thing I want to consider is how big is my heat press and are my designs going to be able to apply on them? For standard t-shirt designs and small accessories, this is perfect for me for the things that I'm going to be heat pressing and for the space in which I need to keep my heat press. In addition to that, it has a temperature setting. So all I know is that, let me rephrase. I want to know for sure that I'm at the accurate temperature every time I'm working with my heat press, which means that my heating element has that temperature evenly across the entire surface, right? So whenever I lock this down, I know that whenever it's locked down, I'm not just getting accurate temperature in the center, but around each edge as well. So the entire surface area is reading out the accurate temperature. So I have it set to 325, right? So that's exactly where I want it to be. And then I can adjust my time as well, right? So whenever you are working with different heat transfer types, those heat transfers are going to tell you that they're going to apply at a certain temperature, a certain time, and then also a specific pressure. All right, so you can go in to your menu, set your temperature, set your time, hop out of that menu, and then it's good to go. Then you can adjust your pressure with a pressure knob in the back. You can lighten it or turn it up to get a firmer pressure. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, very simple. And then it is going to apply that pressure to the upper heating element to ensure that you're getting the right pressure per square inch. All right, so that is a really quick and brief overview of the heat press and what you want to look for in a heat press so that you can accurately apply a variety of different heat transfers. What we're going to talk about is other things that you'll want to consider to set yourself up for success whenever you are working with a heat press. All right, so I have my heat press ready to go. I know that I can set my temperature, my time, and my pressure, but what other things should I be considering so that I can ensure that I can apply a variety of different items? So that's why a lot of folks will get into heat printing, not just because it's that low barrier of entry. There's not a ton of investment up front. So they love that aspect of it, but they also really love that they have so much versatility with it and that they can heat apply a variety of different substrates. It doesn't have to just be t-shirts. It can be so many different things. It can be hoodies, sweatpants, leggings, nylon jackets. There's so much variety out there. All right. So really any substrate that you can think of technically can be heat applied because there is a heat transfer solution for it. Okay. Outside of that too is all of the finishes that you can achieve in the heat transfer types that are out there that can serve your price conscious customers that want something a little more low end, or you can get patches, dimensional logos like Josh mentioned in his session that we'll be featuring in a class later to really warrant higher profit opportunity. So you have a lot of versatility and just printability overall with just a heat press. All right, so with that being said, we need to make sure that we can heat press all of these things because yes, with a heat press, you can load virtually any item, but you want to make sure that your heat press is going to allow you to go outside of the standard dimensions. So this is a 15 by 15, but what if I want to drop down a size to be able to print something smaller, right? So that's where interchangeable platens come in. And that's the first thing that everyone should consider whenever they're thinking about accessories they want to add on to their heat press, right? So this is an interchangeable platen, okay? This is a 6 by 10. And what it does is just pops right on where our 15 by 15 is, okay? So there's a little mechanism underneath the heat press that allows me to unlock this platen from where it's at and drop in the 6 by 10 platen so that I can isolate a smaller print area of maybe a smaller garment. Maybe I want to isolate a left chest logo, or maybe I want to put a small bag on here and be able to personalize or custom print that. All right, so interchangeable platens are another thing to highly consider as accessories that could benefit you for heat pressing a variety of different items with your heat press. Now, if you're not working with a heat press that has interchangeable platens, there are other accessories available to you that allow you to isolate print areas as well. And I actually love that I'm touching on this today because we just asked on our Instagram, Stahls Heat Printing, what is one thing you wish you knew before you got started heat printing? And one of the comments in there was, I wish I knew that there were print perfect pads and pillows that allow me to isolate a print area or raise a print area so that I don't have to worry about pressure issues. All right, so pressure issues come into play if you are putting something on your standard platen, but there is an obstruction in the way like zippers or buttons, okay? And you can't necessarily isolate that area or get the zipper out of the way. And that's where these accessories really, really help. So we have first Print Perfect pads, right? This is what a Print Perfect pad looks like. And it's really just a thick silicone pad, but it is really essential for raising a print area if you are unable to isolate it with a interchangeable cladded. Right, so what this does is it goes in where you want to put your print. It's going to raise that area so that any buttons or zippers are out of the way, and you can press that with the accurate amount of pressure it needs for that transfer to heat apply. In addition to that, we also have these mouse pads, and these are sourced through Transfer Express, okay? Transfer Express highly recommends using these styles of pads with screen print transfers. So if you're working specifically with screen print transfers through our screen print division, then you definitely want to use the mouse pads as opposed to pillows or Print Perfect pads. They're a little bit firmer, and they come all packaged for you like so from, not that piece, from Transfer Express. And you can just insert them into your apparel, right? So those are the pads to consider based off of the heat transfer types that you are using. So if you are taking notes, you'll want to use a Print Perfect pad for heat transfer vinyl to raise a print area. If you want to raise a print area when printing with screen print transfers, then a mouse pad is the way to go. In addition to this, there are also accessories known as heat press pillows. All right, so these are, if you're familiar with our reusable cover sheet, it's that same type of material that's wrapped around a piece of foam, right? You can insert these, and you can see that this is a long, slim pillow that can go into long sleeve t-shirts or hoodies, sweatpants, leggings, that can help isolate a print area and get seams out of the way of causing an uneven pressure, right? So I keep talking about pressure, right? So we're noticing a trend here. Pressure is key to getting an accurate heat application, all right? So it all relates back to what heat transfers you're working with and what instructions come with those heat transfers. And today I'm going to be demoing all of that stuff for you so that you can fully understand why these accessories are important and something to consider to have on hand anytime you're working with a heat press. All right, so some of the samples that we're going to be pressing come out of the marketing kit from Stahls. And then we're also going to be pressing some samples from the Transfer Express marketing kit. All right, so the Stahls marketing kit, if you guys haven't purchased this yet, then definitely do so. You can purchase it right on the homepage of the Heat Press for Profit. So in your 10-minute break, once we wrap up with this, be sure to hop over there and you can order your marketing kit. So let's go through this a little bit, talk about what's inside, and do some heat pressing. Right, so a guide to what's included in your 2021 marketing kit, that's all listed there. What we're going to be heat pressing today is in this little baggie. Right, so first, thank you for registering for Heat Press for Profit. This is the first application that we are going to do. So I'm going to show you how you can easily and simply heat press a goof-proof screen print transfer. So the t-shirts that Josh had on in the first session when he was talking about Plastisol ink transfers, that's the demonstration that we're going to do first. Additionally, in that little bag are some really fun stickers. I can't wait to use these. And Make It Magazine, all right? So if you guys have not subscribed to Make It Magazine, definitely get this. We are always putting great articles in here, how-tos, letting you guys know about trends and different things that are ultimately going to help your business grow, essentially. So definitely subscribe to this. This is in the resources tab on the upper right-hand corner of the screen so that you can subscribe for Make It Magazine. We do one 4 times a year. All right, so every new season you get a new Make It Magazine with new tips and tricks and updates on what's going on in the industry, because sometimes it can really be hard to keep up with that. All right, so first application is goof proof. All right, so we're going to walk through this, and I'm going to be heat pressing this on a basic cotton poly t-shirt. All right, so goof proof is Transfer Express's top seller. Typically when people are just getting started with screen printed transfers, they always go goof proof because it is so simple to work with. All right, so this is the t-shirt that we are going to be heat pressing today. It is a Bella canvas. And as I mentioned, it is a cotton poly blend. All right, so goof proof works phenomenally on a cotton poly blend. I feel like the ink solution just feels amazing on a 50-50 type t-shirt. And who doesn't love Bella canvas, right? All right, so with the A to Z, you have two options with this. And I actually love this feature about this heat press. I can either load the t-shirt on from the bottom, or I can load it through the back, right? So one of the things some folks don't love about their other heat presses is that they have to load it on from the bottom and work upside down, or else they have to just lay the t-shirt completely on the platen. That can cause some pressure issues. The key thing whenever you are getting started with pressing your first print, even if you're not doing this now and you've been pressing for years, you want to make sure you're threading your garment, okay? So you'll notice that I opened up the bottom of the t-shirt and I dressed the bottom platen with the shirt so that I'm just working with that top layer. All right, so now I have full vision of my heat press or of my t-shirt on the press. And this is really gonna help me for alignment. And it's also gonna make sure that I'm not getting any wrinkles from the back of the shirt coming through the front of the shirt and maybe causing some uneven pressure, all right? So we always talk about pressure, time, and temperature. Those are the three things that are going to get you a successful heat print to ensure durability of the transfer that you're heat applying. All right, so I swung my upper heating element around. I locked it down for just a few seconds. What I'm doing here is prepping my t-shirt, okay? T-shirts have moisture in them and wrinkles. We want to make sure that we are pressing the shirt before we heat press to ensure that we're getting any moisture or wrinkles out of the fabric so that we have a durable application. Another thing this is allowing me to do is test my pressure, right? So whenever I'm working with the A to Z press, this is the one feature across all the Hottronics styles of presses that you guys are going to see throughout the duration of the event. This one does not have a pressure readout, as you will see in some of the other heat press machines. So what I do is I tighten it all the way until I can't tighten it anymore. I know that I'm at a nice firm pressure there. Whenever I work with goof proof on the A to Z machine, I always make sure I am as firm as I can possibly get with this heat press so that I know that my transfer is applying accurately. Based off of the heat press that you're using, you can apply goof proof anywhere from medium to firm. I like to do firm with the A to Z. All right, so my pressure is accurate. I have the moisture and the wrinkles out of the t-shirt. And so it's completely prepped for me to be able to heat apply. So all I have to do is place my transfer, right? So this is the side that's going down on the t-shirt. This is the side that should be faced up. So anytime you're working with a goof-proof transfer, you want to see the grid lines, okay? Just as a rule of thumb, if you guys are ever trying to find center of your design whenever you're working with a goof-proof transfer, because it can be a little bit hard to see through the white paper, all you have to do is fold the design, and you want the start of the design to meet the end of the design. And then you're just going to pinch the top, right? That's how you know that that is center for your design, okay? Now I know that whenever I go to lay this down, I'm gonna go 4 fingers from the collar. So my 4 fingers measure at 3 inches, all right? Industry standard for the most part, if you're 4 fingers down from a crew neck t-shirt, that is where you want to place the top of your design. Right, and whenever you're working with screen print transfers, you do not need a cover sheet. So I can go ahead and lock this down. Now, for those of you that are familiar with working with goof-proof, we do have 3 different application instructions for this product. I'm not doing this to try to confuse you. I just want to explain that if you are working with goof-proof and maybe you're outputting 100 t-shirts, you can increase the temperature of this product and apply it for just 4 seconds. All right, so based off of the production that you're doing, I didn't peel it hot enough, so I'm going to press it one more time. Based off of the production that you're doing with this product, you want to make sure that you are using the application instruction that fits the needs of what you're doing. So I need a lower temp solution for what I'm presenting on here. And so I have it set to 325 for 15 seconds. If you are doing high production where you want to output a lot faster, you can apply it at 365 for just 4 seconds and do the same process, but it's going to cut your time over 50%. All right, so I'm going to unload my t-shirt. I'm going to show you the finished result. All right, so we have plastisol ink on our t-shirt with just a heat press. So for those of you that may be on the fence of whether to do screen print, whether to do heat press, I will say they both really complement each other. But if you're looking for something of more of a low investment, then a heat press and screen print transfers definitely does the job. And it allows you to get the price point you want for higher runs. All right. So referencing back to the what to use when guide that Josh showed in our first session, that's where screen print transfers really come into play, those higher runs. Right. And then this is the result of our release paper that the screen print transfer was on. All right. So we are going to have a lot more in-depth conversation about screen print transfers in a session later with Ryan Rafalke. So be sure to attend if you want to learn more about screen print transfers. But I'm just here to show you what all you are capable of doing with a heat press, and screen printing is one of them. And screen printing, why is that so important? It's what your customers are seeing out in retail. It is the most commonly used ink solution, ink formula, whatever you want to call it, that we're seeing in retail at a large scale, right? So if you can do this as well, then it's going to resonate with your customers well. So just know that you do have this solution with a heat press through Transfer Express. All right, so Transfer Express does a marketing kit as well. We're going to pop that open real quick just to show you everything that's inside, because you guys really need to take advantage of this marketing kit. It is a business in a box. All right, it gets you started with everything with Transfer Express. All right, so there's a little guide here that shows you everything inside. My absolute favorite thing that's in these is the idea book, okay? So if you're working with Transfer Express, you can do all of your designs through their Easy View Designer. All of those designs are in this idea book so that you can sit down with a customer that doesn't know what artwork they want, and they can go through that book and pick out the artwork, and then you can recreate it for them and send them mock-ups through Easy View Designer. Right, so all of that, and then most importantly, all of the screen print transfers, right? So this gives you a little guide of what's all inside. So just keep that in mind. This is the other marketing kit that is available on the homepage for ordering, so that you guys can start playing around with screen print transfers from Transfer Express. All right, so our first application was goof-proof screen print transfers. The next thing we're going to do is heat transfer vinyl. So heat transfer vinyl, absolutely great for personalization and some lower run jobs. Heat transfer vinyl can be ordered as a transfer, or you can order rolls of it, as you see behind me here, and you can feed that into a vinyl cutter and cut out your own designs if you want to be able to produce your own transfers. If you guys have not worked with heat transfer vinyl yet, this marketing kit is going to get you started with some of our top selling heat transfers. All right, so everything from your go-to heat transfer vinyl, Ultra Weed, Premium Plus, the ones you guys all know and love, and then maybe some special effect ones that you haven't worked with yet. So we have glow, reflective, soft flock, soft foam in here. And we're actually going to heat press some of these because I want to show you some of the reasons why people get into heat transfer vinyl. And it really goes outside of not just personalization or not just a solution for low run jobs, but these special effect finishes that you can get with heat transfer vinyl that are just as durable, and you're really not compromising the quality at all to achieve these special effects. You're still getting a durable solution. All right, so the first one that we are going to heat apply is a pair of leggings, because what I really want to show you is why these accessories are so important, okay? So the first design that I'm going to pull out of my marketing kit is Ultra Weed. And while I'm explaining my next part, I'm also going to drop my temperature to 280 degrees. Technically, I can go down to 260 if I want with Ultra Weed, but I think it's going to take a little too long. So we're just going to go to 280 for this. So this is Ultra Weed, really thin heat transfer vinyl. For those of you that are not going to be doing plenty of education on heat transfer vinyl and how to get started so that you guys can fully understand that process. So stay tuned for some of those other sessions. All right, so leggings, these are Ogio. They are sourced from Sanmar, very popular style. They are a poly spandex. Why am I selecting Ultra Weed for this? Because I know that it can apply at a nice low temperature. Now, because I want to apply the leggings, I'm not going to put it on this 15 by 15. I could just lay the leg across there, but now I'm working with seams that could cause an uneven pressure. So we want to make sure that we are not totally avoiding those seams. Now I could drop on my 6 by 10, but my design is a little bit longer than that. So we need to use a pillow. All right, so you guys will be able to see a heat press pillow in action and why this is essential for heat pressing different items outside of t-shirts and hoodies. All right, this also applies to sweatpants as well. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just taking that pillow and feeding it through the leg. Okay, actually going to move that up a little bit so that I can print up a little bit higher. All right, so I want to print right here, right next to that seam. If I was just laying this across that 15 by 15 platen, there's no way that I would be able to avoid that seam. It would cause uneven pressure, and it's likely that my transfer would not apply accurately. So I want to make sure that we are avoiding that. Now I can go ahead and lay it across my 15 by 15 platen. And I want to make sure that because I'm working with an accessory, I'm testing my pressure, and I'm also doing a preheat. I'm still at 310, so if my leggings scorch, just know it's because my temperature didn't drop all the way down. Okay, so Ultra Weed applies at a light to medium pressure, which is exactly, I feel like I'm at a happy medium between those. When I'm working with a pillow, I want to steer closer to a medium, just because whenever I press that down, that pillow is flattening. So just keep that in mind. I want to steer a closer to a bit of a firmer pressure. Well, between what's recommended. So between a light and medium, if I'm halfway between there, then that is good. So I'm going to take my design place that right next to the seam. That seam is going to sink down into the pillow and keep my print area raised, okay? So now it's completely getting rid of the risk of that seam causing uneven pressure. And as we are heat applying this, I'm going to just pause for a moment. Apologies, because I can be a little bit long-winded. We're a little over halfway through, so I'm just going to stop and make sure there aren't any questions. So I have Danielle here with me today, keeping questions answered in the chat, but just want to touch on that and make sure there aren't any questions you need me to ask Danielle.
Jenna, right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, I totally just muted myself.
That's okay.
So Kathy is asking if Ultra Weed can be used on stretchy garments.
Okay, a little bit of a loaded question. So Ultra Weed, it can be used on stretchy garments. It applies at a nice low temperature, so you don't have to worry about scorching the stretchy garments. But if I had to recommend a better product that I think is phenomenal for stretchier garments, I'm gonna go with CAD Cut Premium Plus. It has a 4-way stretch, it applies at 280, and it has a beautiful feel on synthetic fabrics. It doesn't even feel like a vinyl to me. It feels more like a water-based ink. So if I had to recommend what I would put on stretchy garments, then I would highly recommend Premium Plus. Right, and Ultra Weed is a hot peel, so I can go ahead and peel back that carrier. And I'm going to show you guys one thing. Okay. So I noticed a little bit of lifting here on this piece, right? Hopefully the camera's picking that up. So what I'm going to do is just drop that right back on there, and I'm going to increase my pressure. So if you ever see that happening, don't worry about it. You can just load it right back on the heat press, cover it with a cover sheet, and lock it back down using a firmer pressure. All right, so earlier I mentioned you want to lean a little closer to a heavier pressure. So I should have increased my pressure a little bit more. But good scenario of why a heat press that has a pressure readout could be a better option. All right. And now it is fully applied. All right, so now I just have to take out my heat press pillow. And now we have custom leggings. All right, so again, these are sourced from Sanmar. We use CAD Cut Ultra Weed. It does have a little bit of give to it. So you can see that I'm stretching the Ultra Weed. We don't have any cracking or popping of the product, right? So it does have some give. But if you're pressing like 100% poly or a poly spandex blend, volleyball jerseys would be a really great example of when you would want to use Premium Plus because of that 4-way stretch. All right, so leggings done. You guys see how the heat press pillow works. If you guys have any questions about the heat press pillows or other accessories, definitely let me know. So one other accessory I want to review with you guys before we go on to some more special effect finishes is a flexible application pad. Right, so this is another accessory that I always recommend keeping on hand with your heat press, okay? If you ever get into pressing very heat sensitive synthetic fabrics, I'm talking like Under Armour and Nike, the ones that just tend to get a big old heat press mark on there, this is going to be a really great print solution for you. Even if you're going outside of synthetic t-shirts, maybe you're doing accessories that have faux leather, which has plastic in it, or just plastic in general, the stadium bags that are that PVC type bag, those can be heat applied, but we want to make sure that you're using accessories like this that can avoid those things from melting or just totally avoiding scorch marks in general. And disclaimer, not all heat transfer products do work with this product. For example, I would not use this with a screen print transfer. I use this mostly with heat transfer vinyl such as reflective, right? High vis color reflective works great on athleisure. Athleisure tends to scorch. So I use that to be able to apply that product at the right temperature without scorching or compromising the finish of the substrate. Okay. All right. So flexible application pad, once again, definitely another great accessory to keep on hand. Okay, so I've shown you goof-proof screen print transfers and your basic heat transfer vinyl. Now let's talk about some specialty finishes that you can achieve and why people lean towards using heat transfer vinyl for some jobs so that they can get that beautiful special effect finish. All right, so the first one that we are going to do is CAD cut metallic, and I am doing that on a cotton t-shirt. CAD cut metallic does apply at 300 degrees, so I'm going to increase my time here. One thing that I do love about the A to Z heat press is that it doesn't take too much time to heat up or cool down. All right, so again, loading on our t-shirt. Making sure to thread that, so we're just working with the top layer. And at this point, I am just testing my pressure and preheating my garment. All right, so the next transfer that we're using, again, still in that marketing kit. And I am looking for the metallic, okay? So this is the same metallic that you guys are getting in your marketing kit as well. Just gonna remove that backing. My garment's already prepped, so I can go ahead and just place my transfer. And the cover sheet that I'm using today is just a basic craft paper. I'm just going to lock that down for its recommended time and temp. So 300 degrees, 10 to 15 seconds. It's one of the two. I'm applying it for 10. And it is a cold peel. So I'm going to wait for this to cool. And then I can remove that carrier. All right. So another little handy thing that comes in your marketing kit so that you guys don't have to try to memorize all of the application instructions is this. Okay, so you guys can keep this on hand. It is a sticker, so you can set it, stick it to the table next to your heat press, the wall if you want to, but it has all those application instructions for you. All right, so metallic applies for 8 to 10 seconds, not 10 to 15. So I was close. All right, and the Transfer Express marketing kit also has the same exact thing for all of their screen print ink as well. All right, so I'm going to take that off of the bottom platen. And one thing that I do to kind of speed up the cool down process of this is I'll find a cool wall and I'll just place it on there. It'll help to release the heat a little bit faster. And then I can peel my carrier. All right, and this is the result of the metallic. So you can see the bright mirror-like finish that we're able to achieve with CAD cut metallic. But if you guys don't like that bright mirror-like shine, what you can do is actually put it right back on a heat press and just hit it for an additional second or two. Doesn't take much. You don't have to do the full application. So I'm going to cover it with the cover sheet. Of course, we want to make sure that that's not touching the upper heating element. And I'm just going to tack this for a few seconds, 1 to 2. And you'll notice the difference in sheen that it gives the metallic. So beforehand, it was very mirror-like. Now we're looking at something a little more low luster. So if you like shine and sparkle, metallic, really great solution, in addition to some of those others that are in the marketing kit, like glitter and reflective. So really great option here. And you have those 2 finishes to work with if you don't like the bright mirror-like shine. So I really like the low luster shine or finish. Okay. And lastly, what we're going to do is patterns. So if you guys want to be able to offer some full color solutions without having to actually print or build your own full color, you can do basic designs in patterns so that you guys can have some color and gradients throughout your artwork. All right, so this pattern is that really popular buffalo plaid. And we just did basic spirit wear type design with this. Now I like a tonal effect, so I'm going to use this on a red t-shirt. And this t-shirt is by All Made. And I absolutely love their t-shirts because they use a recycled polyester for their tri-blend tees. All right, so that is another great brand from Sanmar. I'm actually wearing an All Made t-shirt now. All right, so just taking our patterns. And again, all the products that I'm showing in heat transfer vinyl can all be done on a vinyl cutter, right? So keep that in mind as you are watching throughout the duration of the event. Any heat transfer vinyl that you see can be cut out on a vinyl cutter. If you guys do not have a vinyl cutter, you can also order it as a custom transfer. We'll send it to you ready to heat apply. That's also one of the comments that we got on our Instagram post when we asked what people wanted to know before they started their heat printing business. Some people didn't know custom transfers were a thing. So really great solution for folks that do not have a vinyl cutter, or maybe their vinyl cutter is tied up cutting something else and they need to order a transfer. All right, so this is the finish of our CAD cut patterns. All right, so as promised, I wanted to make sure that we left the last 10 minutes of this session for questions. I left 7. Like I said earlier, I'm long-winded, but I want to make sure that we get all the questions answered. So Danielle, what can I help answer in the chat section?
All right, Jennifer has a great question. She says, is there such a thing as overheating the transfers and UltraWeed? Like if the timer doesn't go off on the press and you forgot, and it's over 15 seconds and it was on for 20, does that pose a problem for longevity of it holding up in washes?
Okay, so really great question. It can happen, but not in that instance. All right, so if it's on there for an additional 5 seconds, I'm not so much going to worry about the transfer as I am going to worry about the finish of the t-shirt. Okay, so a lot of reasons why we offer different transfers is because we have different solutions for different things. So for example, if I am pressing a tri-blend t-shirt that requires a very low temperature and a light pressure and a low dwell time, then I want to make sure that I'm using the right product for that type of t-shirt. So if I'm using UltraWeed and I leave it on there, or I overheat it or leave it on there too long, I'm not necessarily going to damage the transfer, but I could damage the t-shirt. Now, there are other instances where people will just use a really high temperature and a really long dwell time because they really want to make sure that that design is on there and not coming off. which I totally get, but we do that research for you. All right. We have a big R&D team here coming up with all those solutions for you. So just use the recommended time, temperature, and pressure that we give, and it will put it on there durably. It won't come off. But you want to make sure you're not doing that overheating or putting too much dwell time, because the vinyl can actually start delaminating from the adhesive, which is holding the vinyl on there. So short answer, your 5 seconds isn't going to damage the transfer, but there's all those other things to consider.
Okay. Sarah has a question. Can you use the flexible application pad for Ultra Color Soft on Sport Tech Posicharge?
I have not tested it, and I do not believe it has been tested yet. As of now, we do not recommend using the flexible application pad with screen print solutions, but I'm not positive on Ultra Color because it is a different type of transfer. So I'll have to defer to our team on that, and we will definitely get back to you with an accurate answer.
I'm looking through. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, someone actually asked, can you print on UltraWeed? That was one of the questions.
UltraWeed is not a printable heat transfer vinyl, but we do have printable heat transfer vinyl that is compatible with solvent, eco solvent, and some are compatible with some latex printers. So not UltraWeed, but you would want to look at our Express Print and Sublistop for dye blocking solutions.
Okay. Bernardo asks, I'm a little confused regarding the base cover on the heat press. Is it necessary to use that cover? I've seen YouTubers using these types of heat presses without the cover. Is there any benefits to either use it or not?
Okay, so I like using this cover because this pad on here, you can see that it is applied to the steel with an adhesive. And if I am bumping the edge of that a lot, that can start to lift, okay? Natural wear and tear of a heat press, but this helps protect that. In addition to that, as we were talking about threading on t-shirts earlier, it's a lot simpler for me to thread on a t-shirt on this smooth surface as opposed to the silicone pad in which the t-shirt will want to grip and stick to. So threading is a lot simpler with this cover. All right, so two solutions that the pad helps with wear and tear of your bottom platen and then helping with ease of threadability.
Okay, let's see. Julie asks, what is the best printing material for polyester?
So I want to ask another question. So I'm going to try to answer the question broadly. If you're using a basic heat transfer vinyl, single color, I recommend UltraWeed. If it is a stretchy polyester in that it's like kind of like a dry fit polyester, then I recommend Premium Plus. So if it's Sport Tech, like the ST350, UltraWeed all day, because it applies at 260. If you're looking for a printable heat transfer vinyl, I recommend our Solutions Opaque. It applies at 280. And it has a decent stretch to it. And then also Ultra Color Soft. I know that's something you can't print in-house. You can order custom transfers of it, but it just feels amazing on polyester.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and one more question.
Okay, would you please repeat the brand names of the shirts you used?
Yes, we are using All Made, District, and Bella Canvas. Right, those are all sourced through Sanmar, and Bella Canvas is also available through S&S Activewear as well. All right, so if you guys have more questions, feel free to keep commenting those in the chat section. Our next session is all on t-shirts and fleece, and I will be presenting that. So I am going to wrap up here with you guys. I appreciate you attending. I hope you were able to pull something out of this that is going to help build confidence within you and also within your business to really take a deep dive with heat printing, because there is just so much that you guys can do with it. I'll see you guys in our next session.